The air sled god. Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and as always, it's another Tuesday night, and I'm joined by my co-host, the gentleman of mixed martial arts, the gentleman Josh Hill. Josh, how are you doing? How's camp been going? And for those of you that are joining us live for the first time, welcome. This is an experiment to see how the show goes live, and I think Josh and we've talked, and we think live is the way to go.
Yeah, it's always better live. Everything's better live, right? So I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm out here in Alpha Male, Sacramento, and the weather's good, training's good, and it's better than back home, from what I'm told right now with all the chaos that's happening. So it's good, man. I miss home, but it's good.
Well, there is a lot of chaos, yes, but I try to avoid that and focus on things to distract me from the chaos. And this was a week to definitely do that, as, of course, we had so much professional wrestling on. And I think if you were watched our show last week, one of the things I wanted to get Josh's thoughts on was WrestleMania. And we'll get there in just a sec, but if you're watching, hit the subscribe button, because Josh and we do this show every Tuesday, breaking down all the happenings of mixed martial arts, and we do it for you. But for Josh, what did you think of WrestleMania, Josh? Because it was wild having fans back.
Yeah, that was nice. That was man. Yeah, just for things like that, like. It needs fans, like that's like a Super Bowl, type thing. So you have to have that atmosphere. So it was good to see that. It just kind of felt like old times. But I didn't get to see every match, but I watched majority of it, most I could. And for not really having any real. I mean, like I said, I'm a casual now. I'm not a diehard. I don't follow it. So, but as far as like storylines, there was nothing that I was super, super stoked about, but watching the matches, man, they were actually good. They were entertaining, and I thought that it was done well.
What was your favorite match of the two nights?
I mean, like the Edge, the Edge, Daniel Bryan and Reigns one was good. Probably just because Edge is there, right? And it's kind of throwing back that old school. The worst match for me watching it, and I was really surprised by this, was the Orton and Wyatt one.
Oh, the Fiend, yeah. That was
I'm a big fan of those guys, but that was just like I don't know, maybe I don't understand it because I don't follow along enough, but I thought it was just kind of just a waste of time.
Well, the way I was happy with it was that it was first, so it didn't really drag on the show. But yeah, whatever they've been doing with that program, that has been such a flop, and it's been unanimously voted as the worst match on the show. And I know, and they're kind of trying to do the horror, horror movie stuff. I know you're a big horror movie guy, but it's just not working in the realm of pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I like that kind of stuff, so I like that aspect of it. But yeah, I guess it's not really taken off as much as they wanted to. But another one that I actually liked, I remember, was the Rollins Cesaro one. Actually, that was a good match. I like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of good wrestling on that show between the two nights, especially Sheamus, Matt Riddle, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I thought on night 2 was good, but and I thought the main event night 1 as well, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. If you saw that, which was really good.
And also the best guy ever, the legend, Shane O'Mac.
Oh, Shane O'Mac! Shane O'Mac needs to take up a sparring class with you, Josh. You got to work on those hands with him.
Right, yeah, man, I love that guy, dude. He's awesome. No matter what, what's he, 55 now, 51? I don't know, somewhere around there.
He's in his for sure 50s.
He puts his body on the line every time he goes in there. I love it, man. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, not the greatest program, but you know what, Shane, that match was totally built around Shane taking the big bump off the cage. But what did you think of the two nights? Because this show has been known to be, 7 hours when they've tried to cram everything in. And for the second year in a row, they've split it up into 2 nights. And I kind of like it. You get to showcase, certain things that may not be showcased if it was the full 6.5 to 7 hour show. And And 7 hours for anything is just too long, right? Like, it's nice that they hit that sweet spot of like 3 to 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, it would be nice if it was like 4 hours long one night. That would be the most, but you can't fit everything in. I understand. So, and yeah, nobody wants to sit there for 7 hours and try and follow along with it. But so, yeah, the 2 nights, man, it's pretty cool. It gives you 2 nights of something to watch if you have nothing else to watch, and I dig it.
Yeah, and I think it's hopefully a thing that they do going into Dallas next year. I know that right now it seems like the plan is another one-night show set for April 3rd of 2022, but things can change, right? Especially if they did, a really good number on the streaming with their views on Peacock, which is their new streaming partner in the US.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I mean, yeah, a lot can change by then, and we'll see how the world is by then too.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you know what? I was happy to see WrestleMania back with fans. We even got to see Vince out there.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm an old school guy. I love it when Vince makes an appearance. He's getting old, man. He's looking older, which sucks. You start to see all these guys, as you age, that they're getting older too. And yeah, he's what's Vince now, like 75?
Yeah, he's got to be 75. Maybe I think 75. I think 77, maybe.
Yeah, he's getting up there, man. So it sucks to see that, but yeah, it was good to see him out there, and Vince is the greatest promoter of all time, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's kind of getting sad. Like, he can barely pronounce WWE, but it was nice to see him out there and had that smile on his face, like, oh, welcome back to having fans. But it's kind of weird, like, they have WrestleMania those 2 nights with fans, and now they're back in seclusion in their Thunderdome without fans. So I'm wondering if they go forward with like how UFC is doing with pay-per-views with fans. But so far, it seems to be just everything set up in the Thunderdome.
The Thunderdome, is that in Florida?
Yes, everything has been in Florida. So they were the original Thunderdome.
Have some fans.
I don't know. I think they just enjoy the environment that they're in right now, honestly. Like, yeah, they could obviously have fans because they've been they have an office out there in Florida, but yeah, they're still loving the Thunderdome atmosphere with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even if you had 2,000 or something like that, just to have people there, and I think that would be I'd rather that than some stupid computer screens.
Well, you could even tell, like, when the show on night 1 started, like, half an hour delayed because of the weather. Like, you could see they were kind of a little flustered, like they hadn't done TV in a while. They've been in that controlled environment for over a year now, and it affected them. Like, this is a company that prides themselves on being live pretty much every day of the week that they have programming on, and it affected them. So why not have some fans in there to help with the talent as well?
Yeah, and I'm sure that wrestlers would rather wrestle in front of people, actual people than screens. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there, but I'd much rather have at least some fans.
Yeah, I hopefully they can find a way, because it seemed like the protocols as well for WrestleMania, for everything I've heard, were pretty safe, and there was social distancing in effect, and masks were asked to be worn mandatorily, but
there was no social distancing in effect, man.
They did as best as they could.
Each other, dude.
They did have the cardboard cutouts like the NFL has, which Vince was like opposed against at the beginning, but I guess he gave in for just the optics of it.
Oh yeah, I don't know, but yeah, from what I've seen, there was no social distancing happening, and it's outside anyway. So what's it matter? You know what I mean? So, and some people had masks, and people didn't. So. Well, how it should be, I think. Your own discretion.
Well, the masks thing was supposed to be worn at all times, but you can't make people wear the mask for the full 3.5 hours or whatever. But all in all, though, I thought WrestleMania was fun. It was great to have fans back, and we'll see an event with fans in 2 weeks with UFC 261, which we'll really get into next weekend, as that once again is in Florida. This time it's in Jacksonville. But all in all, Josh, like I said, there was a busy weekend with all this pro wrestling going on. But MMA, they had themselves a lot of some shine as well, with a UFC early in the afternoon, which is of course my favorite. Like, did you get to check out the UFC card live, Josh? Because that's it was like early. 3 hours late. Yeah, it was early for you.
Yeah, so I caught some of the, I had to go at a training session, so I caught some of the fights before I left early in the morning, like I was like 9 a.m. or something like that. But then yeah, by the time I got home and done with training and everything, I kind of missed the main card. I just kind of seen the results and whatnot and how they went. But yeah, because it's so weird being 3 hours behind usual here. So yeah, everything was in the morning.
Yeah, I believe it was like an 8 a.m. start out west. It was also like the earliest start time in the history of a UFC card in Vegas, because that's where the apex is and that's where this card was. But, let's take a look at this as we brought it up. The main event was Marvin Vettori, Kevin Holland. And, we talked last week about there's a blueprint that Derek Brunson showed how you beat Kevin Holland. And the first round, it didn't really go that way for Vettori until towards the end of the first round, where he got that takedown. And, it was just wash, rinse, repeat every round. Takedown whenever he needed. He may have taken a shot here or there, but he isolated it by shooting in, getting the takedown. And Kevin Holland is a guy that I still believe can be a contender at 185 pounds, but he needs to take like 6 months off and work on that wrestling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think I understand jumping back into it because you after a loss you want to get right back at it, but you're the exact same fighter. You know what I mean? You're not improved. You haven't improved at all since your last one, and especially where it's not like you got caught with just a random shot or something like that, or you shot in and got caught in the guillotine, and you got dominated. You got wrestled for 5 rounds, so you know what your weakness is. And to jump back in, I don't know, what was it, like a month later? Like there's no improvements made.
Not even 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it's the exact same fighter. I get why, but Vettori did what he should have done. You've seen how he lost 3 weeks ago. He's not going to have any improvements. Do the exact same thing again. And you're right, for Holland, I think he should take like 6 months off, like without fighting, and like strictly work on his wrestling. Just wrestle. You're a good striker. You're a good fighter. You know how to fight. But these are the things you got to work on to be at that that top level, that top tier. Against the lower ranked guys and whatnot, it'll work. You get away with it, but once you hit that level, it's not going to anymore. Especially now that you've kind of been exposed. So I think he needs to do that.
Yeah, I think everyone has agreed that Kevin Holland needs to work on his wrestling, but I've seen some people say that people think Holland should, move down the 15 pounds to welterweight, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I'm sure he could make the cut there and be successful being the bigger welterweight, but I honestly believe he just needs to work on the wrestling, because we've seen his striking, as you said. He can use his reach to his advantage, but getting taken down at ease, like that's not going to make you ever a championship material fighter in the UFC, especially. So hopefully he gets to work on that wrestling. But what do you think about the idea of Holland moving down, Josh?
I guess the biggest reason why doing that, I mean, you're going to go into lighter guys, which in wrestling plays a big factor. And you'll be the longer guy having the length advantage, the reach advantage. So that can also come into play and kind of, keep people away from you and kind of poke at distance and kind of get away from those shots. So I can understand that, but at the same time, guys are going to be a lot faster at that weight class too. It's a fine balancing act. You don't want to cut too much weight and then, kind of be, weaker at that weight class, even though you're going to be a longer guy, he can use it. So, only he knows, and only his coaches and training partners knows if that'll actually be beneficial or just, you. But the thing is, you were having success at 185 before this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like you're just, you've gone up a weight class and it's not working and you're going back down. So I think he can be successful at 85. You just got to make the right adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to make the right adjustments and just work on their wrestling pretty much. I think that's the big one, and take some time off. Like, I know he jumped in because it was a big opportunity and being in the main event on ABC, but I think if he took the time off to work on that wrestling and heal up as well, because he couldn't have gone into that fight 100%, especially after just fighting. Sure, maybe he didn't take a lot of damage against Brunson, but you're training and there's got to be some form of an injury, but nonetheless, hopefully Holland can be back and in form. And I know he's gotten offers and opportunities to work with Daniel Cormier and the guys at AKA, where we're better to learn wrestling for mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that'd be a good fit for him for sure. Get in there and wrestle with those guys, all of the Russians down there too. So that'd be a good spot.
And then, I mean, let's focus on the winner of this fight, Marvin Vettori. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest fight. I know he wasn't maybe the most proud of his performance, but he's now like really put himself in line for a chance at a rematch with Israel Adesanya for the middleweight title. And it all depends, I guess, what happens this upcoming weekend with the Gastelum-Whitaker fight. And whoever has the better performance probably fights Adesanya next.
Yeah, I mean it's all they're all rematches, right? He's beat all of them, right? It's all three of them. So it kind of just, I mean, who else is there after those three?
Really, no one, honestly.
35. Yeah, I can't think of anybody really.
Because it can't be Costa. He got beat badly. Yeah, it can't be Costa. So maybe, I mean,
Darren Till, but he just got injured too, right? So yeah, I don't know. I guess it puts him in line kind of in those two other guys. So those three are kind of just see who has the best performance and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and I think, I know Vettori's wanted the fight for a while. Feels he won the first fight that they had against Adesanya, and now he's in there. I mean, middleweight is really just going to be a show and tell type of thing. We saw what Vettori could do last weekend, and now it's up to Whitaker and Gastelum, which is just that's an amazing fight, a fight that we should have got a couple years ago in Australia, and now we get it live and free on television on ESPN Plus and TSN in Canada next Saturday.
Yeah, that's a good one. Gastelum's game, no matter what, he always brings it, and I think Whitaker is one of the best. So that's a good match.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Who do you have winning between Whitaker and Gastelum, Josh?
I'm gonna go Whitaker. I don't like counting Gastelum out. I like him, but I just think Whitaker will be able to kind of get the job done on the feet. I don't know if he'll be able to finish him, but I could see him win a decision.
Yeah, because like Whitaker can take like shots from the best of them. Like Cannonier rocked him good in their last fight, and he's taken good shots from like Yoel Romero and the likes of those guys. But he just always, except for Adesanya, he just finds a way to fight on through it. But that's the way I'm kind of leaning. Like I think maybe Whitaker decision or like a fourth round finish or something like that. Because as you said, Gastelum, you can never count him out, but Whitaker, I think right now is just on the warpath and re-energized to get his title back.
Yeah, I think so too. He's got his confidence back. He's looking good.
Yeah. Well, anything else really catch your eye this past Saturday, Josh? I mean, Mcdesi Dern, she had a great showing against what was her Nina Nunes now. I mean, she looked really good, and she herself, a girl that's now looking like a serious title contender and someone who also has been re-energized and since becoming a mother. Yeah.
Armbar, right? First round, wasn't
it? Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's big for her. I think this could kind of propel her into a fight of like more title contention ranked people. What, she at 125?
She is at, I believe it is 150. Yeah, 115.
115. So who do you got there as a champion? You have
well, we got the title fight in 2 weeks,
and
Weili Zhang.
Weili Zhang, right? That's right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there, but she could definitely, I think, fight in that top 5 now.
Yeah, I could see her maybe fighting like if she were to drop down or come down like a Caitlin Chookagian type. I know Chookagian fights at 125, but like a fighter of that's fought for a title, hovering around there. Maybe a Carla Esparza, who was a girl they offered the title fight originally before the negotiation with Rose Namajunas against Weili Zhang got together. I could see that being a fight for
maybe Joanna.
Yeah, I think that's a good fight to make, because I mean we haven't really heard much from Joanna and Jacek since she fought last March against Weili Zhang, and I think if you want to strap the rocket and see the litmus test for Mcdesi Dern, why not put her up against the former strawweight queen?
Yeah, I like that one. It'd be obviously a battle of someone keeping on the feet and someone trying to get it to the ground. So it'd be interesting to see how it could go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these early start times were really nice. I mean, who also really caught my eye? John Mcdesi. This guy has been one of the most durable people in the UFC. He's been with like the promotion for 10 years, I think. And I thought he had his best showing in the UFC against Ignacio Bahamondes, who won a contract in the Contender Series this past year. But I thought the Bull was just ready to rage through in that octagon on Saturday. He looked fantastic.
Did he? Good. I'm glad. I didn't get to see it. I just seen he won a split decision, right? Or it was a close fight, yeah?
It shouldn't have been a split decision.
Okay.
The judging was a little weird on this show. Maybe it was the early start time for some of these judges. Judging was weird all weekend, honestly.
When is it not? When is judging not, right? So, but yeah, that's good for him, man. He's a vet. He's been around. I remember he came out and trained with us a little bit back a couple years ago, and he's a super nice guy. And yeah, it's good to see him. The old dog still doing good.
Yeah, and he was the underdog in that fight, and I get Bahamondes as exciting prospect. He won a contract in the Contender Series, and representing the new wave and a Chilean fighter. But you got to give some respect to Mcdesi. This guy's been in and out, fought some of the toughest of the tough that the UFC has had to offer at lightweight, and he's won some, he's lost some, but he's always game, and that's a guy that you can really rely on for any promotion.
Yeah, 100%. He'll always bring the fight for sure.
Yeah, so moving on now, Josh. On Friday we had Bellator, and they kicked off their light heavyweight Grand Prix with a rematch from the back in the day with Lyoto Machida, Ryan Bader, and this was a pretty one-sided fight. And I mean, Machida looked good early, but once Bader got the wrestling going, he was able to get the takedown. Then he was just able to control the fight and really just grind out and ride out Machida. And Bader's just this amazing tournament type fighter for Bellator.
Yeah, that first round, Machida was looking really good, man. He was hitting him with the beautiful body kicks, and it looked like it was hurting Bader. And Bader couldn't get his timing, he couldn't get his distance down, just like the first fight, where kind of getting frustrated a little bit, lunging in. And Machida was just kind of picking him. And I was like, man, he might catch him again, might knock him out if you can keep this up too. But as the fight went on, I think, the fatigue of Machida set in, and also that, gameness and durability and obviously great wrestling of Bader. And he's kind of found his distance a little better and in his timing and his shots. And he was able to just kind of maul Machida. And I think, after that first round, that was pretty much, the fight was over pretty much after that. It was just all Bader kind of controlling him and dominating him and grinding him and ground and pounding him for the remaining of the 20 minutes. So, yeah, dude, he found a way, and yeah, he's done well in tournaments.
He loves that style of fight where it doesn't have to be the most, pretty, but it gets the job done. It's effective. That wrestling always works, and just wore up. And he beat up Machida too. Like, Machida's face was looking, worse for wear as the fight went on. And good for Bader, because that's we talked about, that's your heavyweight champion as well, that is now in this light heavyweight Grand Prix, and he wants to be a double champ yet again. And he looked great. And Bellator, they're also commemorating this Grand Prix with the special white gloves. What do you think of the white gloves, Josh?
I like those, man. I seen that. I looked and I was like, are they wearing white gloves? But I want those, man. I want to wear those next fight. I don't want them just do the Grand Prix. I really like those, dude. I like them. I like the blue and red's cool. It's different. Majority of promotions, usually wear black gloves. But yeah, the white ones were pretty dope, man. I want those.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. And I mean, it separates your tournament, obviously, right? Like, It makes it feel that much more special. And, this Grand Prix will continue going on for this upcoming Friday with 2 tournament fights, with Corey Anderson making his second fight in the Bellator promotion, taking on a new signing from Russia, Double Dead Zion Yagashimuradov. Say that fast 10 times. But
I think I'm going to try to say it.
But I mean, you know what? Like, Yagomed Shirmov, that is a real wild card where, unless you're like the hardcore of the hardcorest fans of MMA, or like a Kaposa type guy that watches all MMA from around the world, like, not a lot of people know about him. And Corey Anderson, yeah, he looked good in his debut against Melvin Manhoef, but this is a totally different, a much more competitive fighter that's coming at him on Friday night than Melvin Manhoef did back in October.
Yeah, this is the type of fight out of this tournament I wouldn't want to draw this guy, because you don't know a whole lot about him. Apparently, from what you hear about him, he's pretty good, and there's not a lot of recognition, in beating him. You know what I mean? So he's the dark horse, obviously, in this tournament. I think just from namesake. So yeah, those guys are the toughest ones, man, the scariest ones, and probably the most dangerous. So yeah, it's a tough out for Corey Anderson. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about this guy, so he could come out and Corey could just kind of beat him up, or could be a huge upset here and shake things up in the tournament.
I think if you're Bellator, I mean, you're hoping that it's a competitive back and forth fight, but
Yeah.
you definitely want Anderson to come on through. You don't want to have what happened with one this past Wednesday, where they made their debut with Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson, and Eddie Alvarez, and they both lose. One gets total blown away in Mighty Mouse, and then one and Eddie Alvarez loses a terrible disqualification call, which we will probably get into as this show progresses. But yeah, I think you'd want Anderson, but if Yagomedov finishes a guy that was on the cusp of a UFC light heavyweight title, there's another big Russian in this promotion that you got to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, man. The Russians are taking over MMA. I'm telling you, they just, in every organization they have top guys in there. So it just, their background, man, their wrestling background, just it's above all. You know what I mean? And it carries over so well in the sport. So yeah, that would be a huge upset, and then that would, I think it would line up him and Bader, right? Is that the same?
No, it would line up. I believe it would line up him and the winner of the Nemkov Phil Davis fight.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I think I have to actually let me quick check at the brackets, but I think that's what it would be. Yeah,
doesn't matter. It still will kind of throw a wrench in some of the people's, I think, plans of what they thought would be the finals.
Yeah. So actually, yes, you were correct. The winner of yes would be Ryan Bader. So I mean, that's a tough matchup. I in a way, Anderson versus Bader. I mean, sure, they're two ex-UFC guys, but Bader, as I said last week's kind of becoming a Bellator guy. I'd like to see that, but I kind of want to see the wrestling cancel each other out with Yagomedov and Bader, where they kind of got to keep it on the feet, because I think when Bader throws, he throws with reckless abandonment sometimes and can get in these firefights.
Yeah, and he's got power. He's a super, I think, explosive athlete, right? So when he hits, man, he hurts people, and I could see in this fight too, he looked like he looked jacked. He was in much better shape, I think, than he was his previous. I mean, he was in good shape then. I just think he carried a little bit too much mass. This one he looked a little bit more cut.
Yeah, and the other fight on this card coming Friday is the other fight of the Grand Prix, but featuring the champion Vadim Nemkov, and he defends the belt against former Bellator light heavyweight champion Phil Mr. Wonderful Davis. I mean, a rematch between these two, but I'm going Nemkov the whole way. I think Nemkov's just a different animal right now at 205 pounds.
Yeah, man, Phil's a tough out for anybody, and their first fight was I think it was a split. It was super close.
Yeah.
From what I remember. But yeah, Nemkov, man, I fought on that card with him when he took up Bader, and I heard a lot of people saying that this guy could be the next big thing. So and he proved it. He looked really, really good. He looked very versatile and agile for a 205er, moves very well. So yeah, I'm going to take Nemkov in this one. But we'll see what happens. First one was close. So
yeah, I think if you're Nemkov, I mean, that's a lot of pressure too. Your first title defense, but it's also in a Grand Prix, so that's just double the stakes for any champion making their first title defense. And as you said, Phil, I'm not disrespecting Phil. Phil's one of the toughest and always in these competitive fights at his weight class of 205 pounds. So, but I just think Nemkov's a different guy. You don't see people kind of take it to Bader the way that Nemkov did, even though there may have been changes in weight plans for Bader, thinking he was fighting at heavyweight or whatever. No excuses needed for me. I just thought he fought fantastic back when he took the title from Ryan Bader. Yeah,
no, I agree 100%.
The other fight that's really caught my eye on that Bellator card is Sabah Homasi and Paul Daly. I'm happy to see Paul Daly back, because one of the most exciting characters that the sport has, and up against Sabah Homasi, who's coming off a flying knee knockout last year. So, I mean, two guys with well-known flying knees in the Bellator cage and can put down and throw down for a scrap, which could be my which could be the fight of the night on Friday night.
Yeah, they were supposed to fight too, and a fight got called off. I'm pretty sure, like last minute, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that could be that's an explosive firefight for sure. Two strikers that somebody's getting clipped in that one. I think
Yeah, they were supposed to fight back in March of last year, right at the start of the pandemic.
I remember that. Yep.
So I mean, some animosity could be there, just waiting to fight someone. I mean, Homasi's obviously had the big victory, and Daly hasn't fought since like October of 2019. So that's a little bit of a time away from the cage. But he's a veteran. But I'm leaning Homasi. But I just hope this fight lives up to the hype that I think it can. I mean, we're coming off a couple days removed of like the one round of magical war that he had with Nick Diaz, one of the final Strikeforce fights there. So hopefully he can get that energy and the MMA gods can ascend it upon him on Friday night.
Yeah, I think it'll be good no matter how long it lasts. I think it'll be a good scrap between those two. But yeah, I'd probably lean towards Homasi.
Yeah. Well, Josh, as we move on, I think, we've talked about, there's the UFC coming up on Saturday. There's a Bellator Friday. But the biggest event of the weekend, Josh, is Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, as Triller has promoted the absolute heck out of this card. I mean, you want to talk about Vince McMahon being a great promoter. Shout out to the promotion team at Triller. Everywhere you go on social media, there's a commercial, a picture or an ad for this fight. They've got me hooked. Like, I'm ready to see this fight because I went into this one thinking Ben could be in a lot of trouble, but then I saw the press conference, and I think Askren's gotten into Jake Paul's head. Like, I don't know how much you've been paying attention to this, but one, are you going to watch this, Josh? And two, who do you have between Jake Paul and Ben Askren?
Of course I'm going to watch it.
That's the answer I wanted.
Insane as this all is, like, you got to – I mean, I didn't know who these guys were beforehand. I don't know. I'm not a 13-year-old kid. I don't follow the YouTubers anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know who's famous through that, but I guess they are. And now they've turned to boxers. And I only saw that one fight he did on the Tyson card. He fought that basketball player. It was basketball, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a basketball player.
That guy had no business being in the ring at all, to be honest. But from what I've seen of Jake Paul, right? Jake Paul?
Yeah, it's Jake, yes. Logan took the stunner at WrestleMania.
That's right. I knew there's the brother. He actually looked like he had some boxing skills, to be honest. He looked not bad. He looked like in good shape, and even his punches look good. His combinations look pretty good. So I'm gonna watch it for sure. And I do like Askren because I think he's a guy that he can make fun of himself and others. He dishes it, but he can take it. And a hell of an athlete, from what he's done his whole career. But he is a guy that it's insane he got as far as he got with the level of striking he has. It's so bad. And now you're going into a fight where all you can do is use your hands. There's no wrestling, there's no jiu-jitsu, there's no grinding on the cage. It's totally out of his element, which I commend him on, but I don't think it's going to go well for him, to be honest. I'm gonna pick Paul. I think he's gonna knock him out.
Wow, Josh Hill, you heard it here first, everyone. Josh Hill going with Jake Paul over former Bellator and ONE FC welterweight champion Ben Askren. And while I think it'd be maybe it's the best for Triller if Jake Paul wins, because then you can have like 7 more pay-per-views with this guy headlining, and it will do big business. But I think I'm taking Askren. I think Askren has gotten into the head. If you watched any of the press conference, like, you could see Jake Paul being visibly upset at some of the stuff that Askren was saying, the antics he was doing. Like Ben's just here for a good time and the money, but I think he's going to still come compete. And while we've talked about how bad Ben Askren's striking is, you can at least improve that over the amount of time they've built this fight. Like, if you're just, it's boxing, you're just working on striking. He's, I believe, trained with Freddie Roach for this, who's like Manny Pacquiao's trainer and everything like that. So you can improve on that.
I'm cheering for Ben. I really want him to win because he's in a way representing the MMA community.
Yeah, he's
Versus,
representing you out there.
yeah, I really wish we had a better striker doing that. You know what I mean? Because like, oh, this YouTube boxer beats up MMA fighter in a boxing match. But yeah, I am rooting for Ben. I hope he pulls it off. From the videos I've seen, which I said they're just videos, he might just be putting them out there just because he wants people to make think he looks like shit. You know what I mean? But from those videos only and his fights I've seen, his striking is pretty weak. Obviously he's wrestling based, but who knows? He's an athlete. If he can play the psychological war and get in and Paul's head a bit and kind of make him get flustered, get tired, maybe he can give him the first couple rounds and then kind of take away rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and beat him up. But who knows? We'll see. But I'm cheering for Ben, but I just don't think it's gonna go well for him.
Oh, man, that would be bad for Askren. Like, obviously, he's willing to put himself in this scenario, but this is a guy that's got trolled hard. I mean, he did his best to kind of go with the movement where a lot of people would have, ran and hid after the flying knockout from Masvidal. But if he gets knocked out by Jake Paul after some of the trash he's talked, that's such a bad look. And I just think that enough is motivating him to not let that happen and find a way where he knocks out Jake Paul.
We'll see. Has he ever knocked anybody out?
No, I don't believe so.
Right? So
he definitely he wish he could grind out a decision here.
That's with 4-ounce gloves on. Now they're putting on what, 10s, 8s, 10s? I don't know what they're wearing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it may be the 8-ounce boxing gloves.
But yeah, dude, so he hasn't knocked anybody out with 4-ounce gloves on, and he's had 30 fights. So what makes it think he's going to knock out a guy in boxing with bigger gloves on that's just boxing? I don't see it happening. The only way I could see it is just fatiguing him so much that he just kind of is so exhausted he gets that TKO, but it's just out of sheer exhaustion. Or decision. But yeah, man, I don't see him knocking out Paul.
Well, that would be quite the story. It'd be
cool to see Ben Askren knock somebody out though. That'd be crazy.
Oh, well, there'd be so many people that are just instant Ben Askren fans because a lot of people just don't like the balls. And I think that's like another big selling point is this pro fighter could actually knock out this guy that talks all this trash and has that like 1985 Roddy Piper vibes with him going on in there. So I guess maybe this adds a little bit of pressure. Dana White bet $1 million on Ben Askren.
Really?
Dana, who has never been the biggest Ben Askren fan, believes in him, even though there's some legit boxers like Zab Judah that think, as you said, Jake Paul's got some boxing skills. And I would agree. He's got good footwork and he does have power, but I mean, he's fighting a different level of an athlete. Like he's fighting a fight sport athlete, not a guy that, was playing basketball.
What weight is this at?
This weight, I believe, is... Yeah, something around there. I don't have the official weight with me yet, but
I'm sure it'll be around there. But yeah, it's I mean, we'll see what happens. I like Askren, man. I like how he can like you said, but he had like the worst knockout ever just because it was showcased everywhere, and he just kind of owned it and he had fun with it, which is all you can do. Yeah, I like him. I'm hoping he pulls through, dude, but I don't know.
Well, the other, I guess, interesting fight on this card is Frank Mir boxing against, former, 29-9-1 professional heavyweight boxer Steve Cunningham. So, I mean, this is supposed to be Antonio Tarver. Tarver's hurt, but I mean, I love Frank, much like everyone, but this could be a rough go for Frank Mir.
Well, I think Frank dodged a bullet, but he might land on a knife here. You know what I mean? If I could say like something like that, yeah. With Tarver, I seen he was fighting Tarver. I was like, oh my god, man, this is a slaughter. Now with the Cunningham, it's not. I think he's still going to lose, but I just think it might be a little bit less of a murder. Again, this is exactly. It's very much like Askren. Trigg was, a world champ back in the day and did very well, but more so known for his ground game. He does have some knockouts for sure, but yeah, I just, and Frank's, I don't know where his head's at too. Like he's been knocked out quite a few times, and um, who knows? But again, I'm pulling for him. I hope he gets the job done. But I wouldn't bet on him.
Yeah, it's once again kind of like the old days, like from 15 years ago. It was like MMA versus boxer and boxing and stuff like that. Like with Kimbo Slice, where he like knocked out Ray Mercer or something like that, or Ray Mercer knocked him out, whatever, vice versa. But I don't know, man. Like I feel bad for Frank. I kind of like Frank in the role he's in now, where he's like coaching his daughter, and his daughter's developing her MMA career, and I just don't want to see Frank take a lot of punishment, because Steve Cunningham he may not be the best known heavyweight boxing champion out there, but he's almost won 30 professional fights as a heavyweight boxer. So I pray for Frank Mir on Saturday.
Yeah, I really wish these were MMA fights instead of boxing.
They got to do a show where it's like that, where we do the MMA swap.
I would feel, yeah. Then I would say Askren Mir for sure, but with strictly boxing, yeah, that's not good. It's two totally different things, right? It's like, yeah, boxing's part of MMA, but everything's different. You don't when you just box rather than fight. So it doesn't just carry over like everybody just thinks it does. Oh, you just go the striking. No, it's very different.
Yeah. All in all, though, I think I'm going to be as excited about this show as I was when it was. I know Tyson and Jones aren't on this card, and some actual boxing names from the past, but they've done a great job promoting it. And once again, this is also half concert, Josh. I mean, you got to be excited for the Biebs and Snoop Dogg on commentary.
I remember last time he did like 10 songs. It was great. Yeah, old school songs too. So who's it now? With Bieber?
Bieber's one of them. There's it's like a bajillion other artists. I feel like they have more artists on this one, but Snoop's on commentary again.
Snoop's on commentary. Yeah, Snoop is a absolute horrible commentator, but I like him. I think he's funny. But yeah,
really, you didn't like Snoop Dogg on commentary? I thought he was hilarious.
He's funny. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, and he's good for that aspect. But as far as like a commentary, it's just like, he'll just be like, get him, Roy, get it. That's it, Roy, get him. Like it's funny. That's what it is. I guess that's all this whole thing is. It's kind of like, it's kind of, I don't want to say circus freak show, but it kind of is a little bit. But
it's totally freak show. Let's be real. Yeah, it's catching on those old Pride vibe days with like Butterbean versus Manoa Man and stuff like that. Only now with some YouTubers. But I mean, I think Snoop's great for it. I'm not expecting Snoop to be an amazing analyst. I just want Snoop to be Snoop. Just let him.
Is Moro doing it too again?
No, it's not Moro. I don't forget who is doing the play-by-play for Triller, and that's apologies on me. But unfortunately, it will not be Moro Ronaldo. Yeah. He's got to call Bellator the previous night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He's doing that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who's doing the Triller one now.
They do have Sean Wheelock as the rules expert, and he obviously works with the Kansas State Athletic Commission and knows his rules as much as being an amazing play-by-play broadcaster. So kind of like the Harold Letterman used to be for HBO. We'll check in with Sean Wheelock in the broadcast at some point. But all in all, I'm happy you're as interested in this show as me, because it's been plastered everywhere. And I can't wait to kind of watch it. Like as sad as it is that this is the most interesting fight in boxing, an MMA fighter versus a YouTube star, this is where we're at right now with boxing.
I seen a couple betting lines. The one I looked at anyway, Askren was a favorite.
Really?
So yeah, I did like a 2-1 favorite. So I'm gonna put some money down on Paul if he's the dog,
Well, I was going to say, are you going to trinkle some money then on Askren, because you're picking Paul? You maybe if he's the favorite, I guess doesn't really do anything for you there. But I guess what's your betting advice then, Josh? Would you make sure you who you would say lay the money down on?
I would say never listen to me for betting advice, because if I have money involved, I never get it right. But when I don't have money involved, I usually am pretty good. Yeah, if Paul is the dog, like I think he is, I'd say lay some money down on him.
Yeah, well, there you go. Josh Hill giving his gambling advice. The first and maybe only time on this show where he gives his gambling advice. Only a few more quick topics I want to get to before we get out of here, Josh. I mean, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, what the hell is going on here? This is one of the wild. This is one of the things where you need to get the Twitter back just to keep up with everything. Right?
Maybe it's one of those things where I don't need to get it back.
It's where all Conor does all his business right now. It's on the Twitter, but yeah, it seems like Conor never donated the money, the $500,000 to Dustin Poirier's charity, and Dustin kind of called him out on it, but Conor fought back. Conor's manager from Paradigm Sports, Audiatar, fought back, and Conor says the fight is off. But, I mean, to me, I don't think the fight is off. I don't think they can allow this to happen. UFC for sure can't let this allow to be a reason for it to be off. There's got to be a way they sort this out, right? Because this is the biggest fight of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. You know, he's just having a tantrum. The fight's off, you know, and then just trying to draw some more attraction to his name. And I mean, who knows? It's kind of like the same song and dance over and over again. And then, you know, they were all cool before all this, and now, you know, is it just maybe is this plot scripted? Is this, you know what I mean?
But that's the other thing. It's like Conor working himself into be angry Conor or something like that to get motivated for this fight. But I mean, for him to come out and say like the fight's off, like it could be a work. He could be working us into the shoot that ends up happening. But I think for Conor to say the fight's off because I didn't hold up my end of the bargain, like what a bad look that is for Conor McGregor. Like as he's kind of turning the corner on his PR look, like that's just such a bad look. I didn't donate money to a charity, so the fight's off. Yeah,
I guess that doesn't look good if you got called out on it and you're agreeing that you didn't, and now the fight's off. You're definitely going to take the heel role again.
That is true, but I think Conor as a heel is the best heel in combat sports. Forget, pro wrestling or MMA. Like, he is the best. And if he can get a little angry, cut some heel promos on Dustin, this will do like 2.5 million buys in July.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the babyface Conor didn't work last time, I mean, it still did well as views, but as far as the fight itself.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's now taken more time. And he seems to... he had a long layoff from the last fight. Now he's getting more active training, and I think he'll be a much more improved McGregor. I don't know if I'd pick him. We're still a couple months away from it. I mean, hey, apparently the fight's off according to Conor, but I know Dana will not let that happen. This is their big summer blockbuster that they can't afford to lose.
No, it'll happen, I'm sure.
I agree. I'm sure it will happen. I mean, Dustin was trying to calm everything on Twitter, saying like, everyone have a positive day, positive vibes only, and his catchphrase of stay hydrated. So Dustin was avoiding at all costs today. But and lastly, Josh, BTC fight, go to Vancouver.
Yeah, that was pretty random. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting that to be. I thought maybe they'd be doing something here with no fans or something like that. But yeah, Vancouver, which is pretty cool. That's pretty much the only province out there that's having shows right now. So you got to go where it's able to happen. The only thing I was confused by is I know BFL is having a show, I think, the day before.
They have a show in June. I actually don't know the date, but obviously I don't think that's officially on Vancouver. It's like just outside of it or something like that.
Okay, cool. I thought it was maybe the same spot because I know there is guys fighting the day before. We have guys at the gym. They're on that card. So that's why I knew the date. I think it's the 4th, I believe.
Yeah. June 4th, and then BTC is June 5th, so the Saturday night.
Okay, so they're doing, back-to-back nights in BC out there.
Yeah, well, as you said, BC is the only province where you can run a professional mixed martial art event in the entire country of Canada right now because Ontario is a mess right now. And in another lockdown, I think Alberta's in one as well, and other provinces have their own regulations in that are preventing shows and live events like this going on. But somehow British Columbia got it under control, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see more Canadian shows going on, and especially BTC because, they're ready to come back with a big bang and stack this card out.
Yeah. Talking to Sherry and Rob and for months and months and months now, they're ready to go. They're chomping at the bit just to get back into action. And, unfortunately, they got to go across the country to do it. But that's cool. It'd be, another adventure. And just happy to see the BTC back in action and fighters actually get a chance to fight. It sucks for so many guys, like my training partners, but also just guys in the country that all they're doing is training right now. They're getting better, but they're not advancing their career and not getting paid. And you can only do that for so long, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't afford to just keep fighting, out of the country right now, where you'd be making maybe potentially way less than you would, and obviously taxes or whatever.
You're paying to fight.
Yeah, that as well. So it's great to see. It's great to see another league up and running, because we're still waiting on Unified, but they're based out of Alberta, and as I said, I think Alberta's like, in certain areas are locked down, or certain more higher restrictions went in a couple weeks ago. So, but it's just more, great Canadian talent and great Canadian promotions going, because that's how you build the next wave, as we've talked about many times. And BTC's done a great job of that. Just look at a lot of the fighters that fought for them. They're fighting in the UFC. One in particular this weekend, Lupita Godinez, who won their women's flyweight title. The strawweight title, back at BTC 8 in Niagara, and she's making her debut this weekend in the UFC. So BTC knows how to find the talent.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they put on great shows. They're a great platform for the up and coming guys to showcase their skills and take that next jump into the big leagues. And yeah, we've seen we've had a few guys go to the bigger organizations from there. So it's good to see them finally back. Yeah, it's exciting.
It definitely is exciting, and it's exciting to see you out there training, getting all those rounds in. I see, Uriah Faber sharing some stories with you out there, getting the work in, Josh. I'm glad training camp's going well, because as we said, you've got a big one May 7th against Rafion Stotts, and training camp going well, which is what I like to hear. And I'm glad you're staying healthy, and we'll knock on wood that you still stay healthy.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's good. It's always good out here, man. This gym, that's why I've been coming out here for 7 years. It's just I built good relationships, but it has so many killers that are they're from here. This is their permanent spot. But also every time I'm here, there's new guys coming all the time from all around the world. So it gets a chance to see different looks from everywhere and build new relationships, and just, yeah, the coaching's top notch. The training partners are top notch. And every time I leave here, I feel more confident and in great shape. So it's going good.
Yeah, and I think the atmosphere out there in California just fits your lifestyle. It fits your personality too. It seems like a place you got to get to after this career is over.
I think anywhere that the sun's shining and it's nice and warm, flip flops, shorts, no shirt. That's me. that's where I like to be, man, for sure. So it does fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see the camps going well, and just looking at that card in a couple weeks' time, can't believe it. Like May 7th is less than a month away now. It's bantamweight galore with all the fighters there. So
yeah, I think there's four bantamweight fights on the card. I'm pretty sure. So, and I think 6 of us are in the top 7. If you want to buy the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, you're number 7 in the rankings. Cass Bell, the guy behind you, he had a rough go of it on last Friday night in Bellator. But as you said, it's a Bellator bantamweight galore on May 7th. Obviously, the title's on the line with Juan Archuleta, Sergio Pettis, Patchy Mix, James Gallagher. Yourself and Rafion Stotts, and then Eric Perez. Yeah, Henry Corrales, Johnny Campbell, and Eric Perez, Brian Moore.
Eric Perez and Brian Moore fighting?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Shit.
The guy you just beat.
Yeah, that's new to me, man. I did not. So there's more there's like 5 or 6 bantamweight fights then.
That's what I was saying. It's bantamweight galore. It's like half the card is 135 pounds.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I only knew the 4 fights, but yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's a good fight too. Yeah, Moore and Perez, that'd be a good one. That's a good striking match for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to break this card down with you. Don't know when I'll get to do it because with fight week, but I mean, also, they're got Valerie Laredo on the card back in May 7th, who's a girl that they in their press release said Bellator's next superstar. So talk about pressure.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think, I'm not knocking anything from her, but I think she's kind of like the Paige Van Zant-ish of the promotion,
Well, we shall see if she is that.
We'll
I mean,
see.
she did have a big knockout in her last fight, which I believe was on your card as well. I may be it may have been.
I don't think so. I don't think it was. I would remember that. No.
Well, all in all, Josh, great talking with you. Great getting to do this one live, and it's something we'll get back to and doing, and get more people to follow. Definitely, if you like this, Josh and I do this pretty much every Tuesday at around 9 Eastern. So definitely hit the subscribe button because we like doing this, and there's always something going on in MMA, as wild sport this is.
Yeah, and I'm sure my wife and stepson are probably watching. What's up, guys? How you doing? Love you, miss you.
Well, I shout out to your wife for holding down the fort right now while you're getting ready for the big Stotts fight. And Josh, enjoy the rest of your, I guess, afternoon, evening, because it's only like 6 o'clock where you are right now. So you got a lot more time to maybe just hang out, relax, call the family after the show.
Definitely, yeah, we'll do, brother.
All right, Josh. Well, and plug yourself out there on Instagram, because as for you that don't know, Josh doesn't have the Twitter anymore. We got to get him on it.
Got rid of that. At Gentleman J Hill on Instagram, and that's pretty much there. That and Facebook is the only place to find me nowadays.
We got to get you on the Twitter, Josh. Miss it.
We'll see.
All right, Josh. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, like, and Josh and I will be back same bat time, same bat channel next week. So peace out, everyone.